Well, David Pollack, the former three-time All-American at Georgia, was laid off by ESPN Disney on Friday night late, and he had a very good career at ESPN for I think about not quite 15 years, about 13 years. And he said this after the fact. He said a lot of y'all heard that won't be back. Won't be brought back to College Game Day next year on ESPN. I just want to say thank you to so many people. I appreciate everybody along the journey. 12, 13 years at ESPN took a chance. 12, 13 years ago, ESPN took a chance on me. I don't know what's next. But one thing God has shown me is that He's for me, not against me. Um, I think this has been widely reported that when Bob Iger came back to Disney, they were going to do a lot of cost cutting. There's when you are a publicly traded company, you are responsible to the stockholders, and you are responsible to make as much money as possible. And what's going on there is as a direct result of that. So they shed a lot of folks. Pollack being the only notable one in college football. Also had Susie Colbert, Jeff Van Gundy, Steve Young. There's a lot of folks. I mean, Susie Colbert was with ESPN for almost 30 years. So Disney's trying to cut $7,000 to save $5.5 billion in costs. It's about 7,000 people that they're going to chop from Disney, generally speaking, including the theme parks and so forth. And David's one of those folks. I mean, I've been laid off before. It's not fun. I think David's in a much better position than I was at the time. It was 2 months before I was getting married 20 years ago or whenever it was. So it's too bad not to hear David on College Game Day. I think David's done a very good job of telling, which is what I try to do here, tell people what they feel like is reality, not some programmed message and he says stuff. A lot of times, what's happened in our industry is people say a lot of words and they don't say anything. Um, but ESPN, like a lot of media companies, are going towards personalities for it. And ESPN's entertainment. That's the thing to remember more than anything. They are a media outlet. They broadcast games, but they're not a news organization. And I know the conservatives amongst us really get in their feelings about this, and I'm sure the comments will be that way down below. But ESPN is about entertainment. Period. That's what it is. I mean, Fox, which is a conservative network, has had its own problems, needless to say, lately. Golly, but we're in a new world of media where we have anywhere from 250,000 to 600,000 people that digest Dawg Post every single month, and that number is growing. And the fact of the matter is that Dawg Post didn't exist in this form 10 years ago. And it's just biting away at traditional broadcast media, and it's killing cable. I mean, cable will be dead sometime soon. So I hope you like watching the Weather Channel, because you're not going to get it in the traditional way you have. This deal's not going to last much longer. We've got our Double Dogs National Championship book. I'd encourage you to get it if you've not gotten it yet. It comes with the 2023 preview, which was hand typed on this keyboard, no less. Not completely on this keyboard, but actually not on this keyboard at all. I use my laptop for that kind of writing. But make sure you're picking it up. The link's down below. You buy the book, you get the magazine included for free. And we're not going to do this deal a lot longer, so you've been warned. I just sent out the most recent orders Saturday morning before the 4th of July. So take advantage while you can. I think, for those of us who have been in new media, I covered David. I covered David actually every single year he was at Georgia, believe it or not. So the world has changed. And it's going to be too bad not to hear from him on ESPN, because for all of the criticism, some of it politically motivated, some of it actually serious critiques of the network, there is no bigger megaphone in sports than ESPN. And they have done a great service, to be honest with you, for a long time, broadcasting a lot of entertainment into houses. And that you don't get to see David anymore is too bad. But just like Fox News is bigger than almost anybody that's ever worked there, ESPN is definitely bigger than anybody. With a few there are a few exceptions, I would say, to ESPN. I would say, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman coming over with their $30 million a year contract. Stephen A. Smith was his whatever it is, $8 million, and now Pat McAfee with his $10 million a year contract. Hey, I don't hate any of them. I love it. It's good for them. Those are the sort of sacred cows there. Well, two of those folks are talking heads like me, and they've done a great job in their careers of getting where they matter a lot with what they say. Well, Kirk Herbstreit is a sacred cow as well, by the way. But we just live in a different landscape, and this is not as much about David, but this is behind the scenes. Sausage getting made. When you own business, when you own a business or you own two businesses, the revenue has to come in. And the fact of the matter is that people have been cutting the cord for 13 years now, and it's affecting everybody. It's affecting Nat Geo, HGTV, the Weather Channel, Disney. The one thing that Disney has that other cable companies don't have on with ESPN is they have the premier products that are sports on cable television. People will buy sports. I know they will. There's not a package to purchase, Masked Singer that I'm aware of. So, the networks are dying slowly. Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS. People don't watch that entertainment anymore. They're watching reality. They're watching Netflix. They're watching streaming. And if the money's not there, then they're not going to pay people, y'all. That's how this works. The money comes in, you pay people, you pay production costs, there's a profit margin. And in the case of companies that aren't individually held, like the ones I've got are, you send the money back to the shareholders, and the shareholders continually demand more money. They have the ability to sell the stock and kill you with that. You're at the mercy of the stockholder, or if you're in venture capital, you're at the mercy of the venture money. So we are not in that position here, just to be clear. But I do think I have to say that David was, rough around the edges when he started, but that he's never really let go of his straight to the heart of the matter kind of look at things. And I think that's good. And that rubs, by the way, that rubs some people very much the wrong way. But I think I owe it to my audience and everyone who's in broadcasting or media, they owe it to their audience to tell them the truth as they see it. Whether that's, their opinion of things or, backed up with reporting. We don't have enough of that. We don't have enough of that in sports. Disney and the SEC are aligned together. They are in business together. They are in bed together. You are never going to see ESPN do real reporting on SEC schools. It's not going to happen. You are never going to see Fox go after the NFL. It's not going to happen. They're not going to go after NASCAR. Those people are in business together, period. And there are ramifications from that are not good in many ways. Everything it has a shiny sheen on it. It's public relations tested. We only hear about the bad news after the fact. And that's why, David was not a reporter. He was a commentator. And he was the victim, if you want to call it that. He was the victim of, more cash. We want more cash. And I'm not hating that. I'm a capitalist. I mean, I am, totally. But there are ramifications from that. And, we're seeing that. And not just at ESPN and Disney. We're seeing that at News Corporation, Fox. The media landscape has changed all the time. College football is changing, media is changing, everything always changes, and there will be a time when the broadcast networks are not as powerful as they are now. Um, and we're seeing them slowly slide away. But David was just in the middle of that. He will get picked up. There are too many. I think he will get picked up. There are now too many options out there. You've got the Big Ten network, excuse me, the Big Ten agreement with the SEC. You've got the SEC's the CBS. This is so hard to dislodge those two. CBS's agreement with the Big Ten is an opportunity. NBC's agreement with the Big Ten is an opportunity. Fox obviously is an opportunity for David, but you don't want to be somewhere other than ESPN. I have friends that work at ESPN and Disney, and they know the deal. It's not a perfect situation. It's a corporate company. I mean, like, it's what it is. No company is perfect. No situation is perfect. But if you can be at ESPN, which has the loudest megaphone out there, and it's right for you, it would never be right for me. My situation's not like that. See, people misunderstand. They think maybe that no one controls us. We can literally do whatever we want. There's tremendous value for me in that, in telling y'all the truth as I see it, okay, or as we can report. That is really valuable to me, to Matt, to Ryan, to people that appear on this channel. That matters to us. We can sleep at night. We don't work for Georgia. We don't work for Kirby. We don't get our feelings hurt when people criticize them. We criticize them. So the landscape, though, of media is not like that. We are completely independent. We don't report to Nashville or I don't know who rivals where they're at, Los Angeles, or we're not in that ball game. We don't do that. That's not us. We don't work CBS. We don't report to New York, Nashville, or Los Angeles, or wherever rivals is out of. So we don't work for ESPN. So we are different in that sense, and it's very different. That's a very odd thing in media. I can assure you of that. It's a very strange phenomenon to be completely independent. The newspapers, for the most part, are that way, but they're having to deal with stockholders too, and the stockholders demand value, which is completely their prerogative. But that does matter. When we're only worried about the bottom line, your quality will hurt. And the fact of the matter is that David Pollack not being on game day, that is a detriment to game day. A lot of people have talked about Desmond Howard. Desmond Howard is not that good for me. But he's not the worst person that's college football commentator at ESPN. I don't know what the value of Tim Tebow is in terms of he's hardly ever on game day. When I listen to him, I don't get a lot out of that personally. I'm just speaking for myself. But you've got a lot of folks in the universe of Disney. Whether you're talking about Greg McElroy or RG3, but those guys are commenting on games. So I thought it would be someone like Tim or David that they didn't. They are this. This sounds really bad. It's not the way I mean it, but they do one thing, and that's what they do. They don't do other things. So Booger McFarland, he can do basketball. He can do football as well as college football, NFL as well as college football. David and Tim are not known for that. So, Desmond Howard was a Super Bowl MVP. So there's value in having that. Or RG3 won the Heisman. I mean, that's probably the value in Tim Tebow. But all of these things, there's going to be more cost cutting. It's not going to stop at these companies. So I just wanted to say good luck to David. He's always been very kind to me. I don't really know David in any real way. I covered him. He was a little young for me actually knowing him because I didn't cover his recruiting. I was playing sports in college at the time. So, I couldn't do that, but he was an exceptional player, that no one knew about. But boy, well, I'll tell the story of the South Carolina game one of these days soon.